So hold on one second. I'm waiting. It says the live stream is offline, but that. No, it should be live. I'm not sure why it's not live. One second here. Stream output is going to primary. Yep, it's up. Looks like it's up. I don't know. It's going to come straight from where we started a second ago, but it looks like we are live. So, I obviously know who you are and watch your content, but tell us a little bit about who you are, what your MMR is, what heroes you spam, how long you played Dota.
Yeah, so I've actually been playing around the same time I think that you've been playing. My days kind of somewhat predate maybe you in some ways. 2012 was I think my first game of Dota 2. But I know that you have a lot of history with Warcraft 3, and maybe you were playing Dota back then, like Dota 1. But I remember, like, I recently checked on my profile. It was like my first game of Dota was back in 2012. But I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus after I started playing Dota. I actually kind of like a piece of shit. I started with League of Legends, I think, like a lot of people, and came over to Dota just because I like the feel of the game more. It reminded me more of StarCraft 2, which was like one of the best esports ever made before it had its untimely death somewhere around 2013 or 14. Sucks because I'm talking to your audience here. I used to spam a lot of Lycan, so I can kind of come at you with that, but from there I kind of transitioned into like Broodmother, just basically the scum of the earth, like filthy picking heroes like Earth Spirit, Terrorblade and stuff like that. After watching your guide about Patrice many years ago, that was really fun to spam in the lower 3K back then.
That was fun.
I even know. Yeah, before I even really knew what Dota was. And now I kind of somewhat comfortably sit in like the mid to higher 5K bracket. I'm like currently 5.6 because I just lost like 8 games in a row. Feels bad, man. But I tipped off at 5.8, and I mostly just spam Broodmother there. Sometimes Ursper support when I need to, because I get the offlane taken. Sometimes Brood mid. Yeah.
The Broodmother mid. That's definitely something I wouldn't think to do. Actually, I think it makes more. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. That makes hold on one second. Just tweeting about this. Maybe grab a few more viewers. However, one thing I never really think about Broodmother in terms of mid, but that makes a lot of sense. One thing that always like sort of comes my way is the idea that Axe is a really hard counter to Brood. Like things like that, like that one video that you uploaded, the most important Dota video to ever exist. It's one of my favorite one of my favorite videos. And then if you, unless you've been living under a rock, for some reason this is the day that you chose to tune into my content for the first time. I am, of course, Esports Monies. I am 4700 MMR, and I have been that way for a very long time because I pretty much don't play ranked anymore. And back then, when I got 4700 MMR was really, really good. It wasn't just like what it is today. It was like 5K was top 200 North America when I hit 4700. So I guess I shouldn't even say that. That gives away how long it's been since I've been doing the MMR grind. But I've got around 1,000 games of Lycan and 67% win rate and just spam. I only play one hero really well. I can play a lot of different heroes. I can only play one hero confidently, and I guess competently as well. So what are your predictions for TI?
Oh man, fuck. I don't really. You asking me this question in a lot of ways just kind of calls into question like how much competitive Dota I even really watch. So every year is kind of the same thing. I always want a North American team to win because I'm a white ethno-nationalist. Just kidding. But I do want a Northern American team to win. Just because, I don't know, just my pride or whatever. I can't really relate to the Chinese teams too much. Also, their style of play in general just kind of alienates me. I don't know if you like ever played like against Chinese Dota. They just like to 5-man all the time. This might even be racist in some way, so I apologize if not all Chinese teams, okay? But like the majority of Chinese 5 stacks that I've played against when I play in like party stacks and stuff, they just like 5-man all the time, and that's not the way that I enjoy the game. That's
actually that's a sharp divergence from the way Chinese Dota used to be, and I think what it is I think the meta in China is a little more stale than the meta in the rest of the world for whatever reason, and I think it has to do with the fact that like China is the heart of Dota. It is the motherland of Dota in a lot of ways. But because of Dota 2 requiring a little bit more system requirements and League of Legends not, and we had Dota Dota 1 was, as of 2-3 years ago, Dota 1 was the most played game in the world because of its popularity in China. And these were all based on estimates, based on illegal servers that people were using. They were getting like several hundred different users a month, several 100 million different users a month. And in that the scene is smaller over there now, I feel like there's like one of two ways that Chinese Dota like works, and that's the 5-man thing you were talking about. And I really don't think that existed ever in Chinese Dota pre-TI5. I think that was really popularized by Newbie and CDEC.
Yeah.
I think CDEC was a big reason that became a thing. And then before that, Chinese Dota was the exact opposite. Well, it wasn't the exact opposite, but it was a very different style. It was the most boring fucking game. It wasn't even like hard. It wasn't even like that was hard or difficult. It was just, it was very, very boring to watch, and it was very, very boring to play into, to play and to play against, because it was super. And to a big extent, the thing that made Chinese teams good, and one of the reasons that the Chinese are still really good at Dota, is that classic. When someone says Chinese Dota, they think of a very conservative playstyle. They think of, or at least I do, and that's the way most people. That's the way it was thought of. Back in the day, people thought about that. We're going to farm for an hour, and we're going to be as risk averse as possible, and we're only going to take fights when we think we have like a 70-80% chance of winning, when we have a good advantage.
Yeah, that's interesting, just because of the stark contrast that brings up in my mind when I think Chinese teams in my pubs. Anyways, I don't know. Like this again kind of calls into question how much pro Dota I even watch. But
I think it's due to that shift post TI5. Because TI5 was the first time
Yeah. I just like I was saying, like I just like I get in a pub and I see like a bunch of Chinese names on the enemy team, and I'm expecting like Spirit Breakers, I'm expecting like Clockworks, I'm expecting a bunch of roaming heroes like our Spirit, and I'm expecting them to just run at us constantly until our wills are broken to play Dota anymore, because like we just can never have a chance to breathe, and only like past the 30-minute mark is there any glimmer of hope that we're going to win the game, because all they're doing is all-inning us constantly, and if they're not getting kill gold, they're literally just losing everything. So yeah, that's all I think about when I like the wards behind towers, sentry wards on our fucking high ground all the fucking time, so we can never see anything. Just like constant map pressure, combined with just a relentless, just like run at you. Like I don't know. It's crazy how aggressive their playstyle seems to be. At least again from my own personal experience, and from what I've seen a little. It's
a stark. I mean, I agree. I've seen it a lot lately. And it is a very stark contrast, and I think that we could actually attribute a good chunk of the success that CDEC saw at TI5 due to was it TI? Yeah, I think a big chunk of the success that CDEC saw at TI5 was they're a Chinese team that I believe they were Chinese. Might have had some C players. CDEC Dota 2. But they, where are they from? Yeah, they're from China, and they absolutely, they stomped everyone, and they were a wild card team. Like they were the, if you bet money, if you made a bet of $20 that CDEC would make it to the finals, I'm pretty sure those odds would leave you with $1,000.
Dude, no.
No. I was looking at odds yesterday, and based on those odds, like they were the lowest ranked team. If you bet $20 on the lowest ranked team today, who has a better chance than they did then, you will make $1,000 if you win that. You'll make like between $500 and $1,000 on a $20 bet on not them winning, but just making it to the finals.
Just make it to the finals. Okay, listen. You and I talked about this on our last on the last stream that we did this like a month or two ago. Mm-hmm. I think maybe you forgot about this exact words, but I did that. I had bet on them all the way up. I think it was after the group stages. I started betting on them. I bet on them like when it was like the round of 16, and then the semifinals, and then the quarterfinals, semifinals, and then I bet on them in the finals. I was sitting there like I had an initial investment of like a $5 Morphling Immortal, right? Like nothing too big or whatever. His fucking Blades of Tears. I was sitting there in the finals with fucking 2 Arcanas, Terrorblade, and fucking Lina.
You did tell me about this. I remember now.
Yes, I had like a Nyx Dagon for 16. I had like $50 on CDEC. I was like, dude, they made me all this money to begin with. Just take it home. You beat EG 2 games ago in a best of 3. How are you guys gonna lose a best of fucking 5 to the same bullshit that they were doing because you can't play Leshrac? Oh my god, dude. Oh, dude, it was crazy. I didn't lose any money. Like I said, they earned me all that money to begin with. Technically, at the end of the day, I just lost like $5. But Christ, I can't believe they lost to EG after beating them. Like EG lost to them in a best of 3. then got kicked to the losers bracket, beat I think it was LGD, and then got put back into the fucking whatever. So they got a second chance or whatever because they were the winners.
I knew EG. I knew 100% EG was going to beat them. I thought there's no way in hell they're going to win.
But that doesn't make any sense. That defies all odds.
But EG is the best team to adapt to other. Like when the only time EG loses is when they crack under pressure, and they're pretty good about that. Like last year when we saw Wings versus DC in the grand finals, I thought to myself, "There's no fucking way in hell that DC wins this." But if EG, like when I wanted DC to win TI, but I was hoping EG would beat them because I was pretty sure EG was going to beat Wings. Speaking of which, you know, Wings they were accused of cheating like hell the first half of 2016.
Yeah.
Like spring 2016 at the, I think it was the DAC. It was like the first $1 million event that wasn't hosted by Valve in China, and Wings was like people seriously thought that. To this day, there were people that believe Wings cheated there, and I think the only thing that helps clear the record on that was that they won TI. And I actually know some people that are. I have people on my friends list that are in that are 6,500 MMR that say I don't know if they believe this, but they said they absolutely would not be surprised if they had found a way to cheat at TI. I also do not think that Wings was like seeing them at TI. They looked very, very good, but I mean, this one dude again, he's like 65. I'm not going to say who he is, but he sent me I'll type his name into. Oh no, actually no, sorry, it wasn't him. It was him. It was the second name. But he had sent me a handful of clips, and he's like, "There's absolutely no way that they should have known what they did right there. There's no, based on the information you have on the map, it's literally impossible." So basically, they got lucky twice, and like 2 or 3 times in a row. And I'm like, it does look very suspicious to me. I'm not trying to call them cheaters. I'm sure if there were real suspicions there, then they would have like explored that further, because you don't really like let $10 million go without checking into it. But they, up until TI, like before TI, I thought to myself like, holy shit, I'm gonna make so much money off these guys because I'm gonna bet against them because everyone thinks that they're good, and they won. But going in, I was like, I'm gonna make bank off them. Now I actually went out and may have made some arrangements to place some wagers when I heard that Cloud9 had reformed under the name Cloud9. Cloud9 has like won me more money at TI than anyone. I started with like 10 cents worth of commons, just to like the first time I'd ever bet, and bet all throughout the group stages of TI4, and just on my Cloud9 bets, I started with 10 cents worth of items and ended with like $3.50. It was absolutely absurd. I started with like
imagine if that was like some real money.
Yeah, no, I started with $60 or $70 last year and ended up with $220 at the end. My high was $240, and when I withdrew, I was at $220.
Damn.
Yeah, no, the group stages of TI are the most profitable. I hate to like just turn this into a gambling podcast, but the group stages of TI are the most profitable of any tournament of I think any game in the year, because when you look at them, they're best of twos. The stakes are high, but they aren't that high, and people are going to crack under pressure. People are going to do one-off sketchy things. If you can almost, whenever you see really skewed odds in favor of one team, just bet small on the other. When I looked at Cloud9 versus some of those matchups in 2014, I said if these odds were the other way around, I still would have bet on Cloud9 because I thought they were that much better than everyone else, and they were. Like the way that things work in the group stages is so heavily skewed because people are like, they treat it like best of threes when they look at their wallets. You can make an absolute killing in the group stages. I'm really hoping to do so this year.
Yeah, and I'm sure you will.
It depends. There's a hard fork. There's a hard Bitcoin fork coming up. So I might not be. I might just be skins betting. So
I see what you mean.
There are a couple of skins betting sites still around, to my knowledge.
I was just gonna say. I mean, you pretty much nailed it. Like that, everything that you said about TI group stages is like what I've been thinking for a while. And I'm not even like a huge betting man. Like I only got on Dota 2 Lounge as it was starting to get like
closed.
Like it was a year before. Yeah, H3 made their video, which like killed CS:GO.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Like,
H3 was just.
It probably wasn't just them.
He was signal boosting Richard Lewis, who I follow pretty closely. Yeah. Actually, we follow each other on Twitter. Like I've talked to Richard Lewis before. Richard Lewis is a pretty awesome dude. And so he broke the CS:GO gambling scandal, and I think Dota 2, at least in terms of Dota 2 Lounge, was extremely honorable, etc. I don't think even Richard Lewis would say that he had a problem with the way that CS:GO Lounge and Dota 2 Lounge were running, but because of all of the other because we had a few bad apples ruin it for everyone, and because it was extremely unregulated and the potential for corruption was there, it's sort of there was basically like a blanket statement that came out, and unfortunately the legitimate operations were hit as well as the illegitimate, which kind of sucks.
You're 2 for 2. You literally took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, there's a few places where you can still. There was one place, I forget what it was called, but there was a place that I was doing a little bit of skins betting on matches last year, which I think is actually completely legal in my state, because we don't actually have any restrictions on online gambling to my knowledge in this state. But skins, like the Supreme Court of Florida, I mean I don't live in Florida, but the Supreme Court of Florida in the U.S. claimed that Bitcoin isn't money, so I'm pretty sure that they're not going to say that my Arcana is money. Like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't
I don't think they'll let you make a down payment on your house.
Yeah, they're not going to let me make a down payment on my house with my rares. my rares.
With that being said, dude, no. With that being said, the Reddit posts go on, like, especially circa day, like when like CS:GO and Dota 2 betting was like starting to get figured out as like a legitimately lucrative process. Like people were putting like Arcanas up for like real life money, and and the Reddit posts of the salty Redditors of just people like you shouldn't be able to do this. You shouldn't be able to trade skins for in real life money. Like daily reminder that skins won't let you make a down payment on your house. I love it.
Oh yeah, no, God, we've had so many great threads about. Like basically, like a lot of times this will happen, and people just be like, you fucking you're a 2013 memer on Twitch going my rares, Kappa Pride.
Dude, I don't know what your stance on this is, but like the morals and ethics of I know, dude. The fucking ethics or morals, or whatever people want to call it, in betting Dota 2 items. I mean, it's one thing if you've got a 12-year-old that's stealing their mom's credit card to buy cosmetics online just to get swindled and corrupted by some person that's promising them rares on a website that they go to when the person's actually getting paid out like fortune by the website itself. That's the one thing, dude. But when you got some like 25-year-old dude coming online, he's just like, you know, I earn a wage, make a living, and I just want to like buy some in-game cosmetics for a game that I love, and then be able to trade them for a chance at winning more on a team for a game that I love, for a team that I love, to support a community that I love. Like, there's no fucking corruption going on there. Like, come on, dude. Like, we're not trying to make down payments on our house, dude. We're just trying to make a couple bucks on a game that we love. Just similar to if some football, two guys watching football cracking open cold ones with the boys, betting on their favorite teams like 10 or 15 bucks. Like, that's all it is, dude. Like, I can't believe that people actually get
I mean, I depending on how much I'm able to put down, I might like. I'll probably start out with like 3 digits worth of like. I'll probably start out with a slip worth $100 this year.
So you're like a fantasy football player, right? Like, I mean, there's still a logical standpoint for that, right? A logical.
Yeah, it's not like it's. I mean, first of all, I'm not gonna lose all of my money because I'm not gonna put $1,000 on number 11, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I did, it's like I'm gonna start with like $100, but. I've just every single time that TI has come around, I have always at least tripled my starting. I would even call it an investment more than a bet at this point, and I'd really like to buy a 1080 Ti soon. So.
Well, fuck. When you get to those terms of like calling it an investment and like making like large numbers of buy-ins or whatever, then you start to get into that like trickled water of like, is this really betting just as like a old man's sport or whatever, or is this becoming like something that potentially has the chances to fuck a lot of people over and swindle money out of people? And I would say that maybe there's some legitimate ground.
I would say it depends on. I mean, it's like any sort of gambling situation. It's all situational. Did I just lose you? Okay, never mind. Yeah, no, I only I generally like only wager at TI, and if I remember it and I'm keeping up with it, I'll wager on some of the majors, but I won't. That's pretty much it. Otherwise, it's too unpredictable. Did you watch TI? Did you watch Dream League this past weekend? I almost drove down there. I almost drove down there.
Yeah, because
Stona Sleuth. That is Wired Guitars.
You're like an hour away from Dream League, right?
I'm like 9 hours, dog.
No, shit. VOD.
I'm 2 hours away from DC.
Like, you lived. Yeah.
So Atlanta is a pretty long drive.
I was gonna say, is it too personal to like ask what state you live in? Or
Virginia.
Virginia. I've got friends in there, dude. You could go say hi. I'm just kidding.
Virginia's.
Just a...
No, this is someone in the chat that says we're their favorite Dota YouTubers. Thanks, Stona.
That's nice. It's got a low bar.
But dude, so Planet Odd made it to the grand finals against TL and lost 3-2 in Dream League. I actually didn't see the grand finals, but I saw a lot of series in the tournament. Planet Odd, no, it's okay not to know who Planet Odd are. They're relatively new. It's Resolution, Weehaw, Moon Meander, Misery, and Saxa. So it's pretty...
Yeah, I literally just looked that up,
Yeah, pretty solid names going into it. They used to be Thunderbirds. I didn't know that when they were Thunderbirds. I just saw Planet Odd, and it became like kind of a big deal because apparently Planet Odd has a reputation for just straight fucking over their players, and just being a sketchy organization all around. But I mean, they did just win some serious cash. I hope they aren't like, wow, they won an online event, or they got second place in an online event where they got 3-0'd by Newbie, and they got 2-0'd by
Blitz.
Blitz is coach.
Blitz is their coach, yeah.
They got 2-0'd by Complexity in the TI qualifiers, so they didn't end up coming. Complexity didn't actually make it this year either. So this year at TI we have OG, which has a new logo because they're sponsored like fuck by Red Bull. I wonder how that makes Demon feel. Virtus Pro, EG, TL, IG, Newbie, Team Secret, Hellraisers, Empire, IG, Vitality, LGD Forever Young, regular LGD, TNC, Fnatic, Execration, Cloud9, Digital Chaos, and Infamous. I love Execration and Fnatic and TNC because they're all C teams and they're the only semi-decent C teams, so they just get to go to TI every year and take like a fat fuck off check and do nothing. Like, because they're better than anyone in that region, they just show up and get paid. Like, actually, I think TNC, like, it depends how on their game they are, because TNC has the... I think TNC, when they had Jimmy Ho on that team, they were better than any of the other C teams by far. But now I think Fnatic, you've got Ohio and QO and Febby. Fnatic might be the best out of that region. And then Infamous, the South American qualifier. DC, the North American qualifier. Cloud9's North American qualifier. Who's the wild card? Do they not have a wild card this year? I think everyone just gets thrown into the fucking bracket, into the group stages, and the lowest people in the group stages just get kicked regardless. Is that what's happening?
No, they gotta have a wild card. They've had a wild card like ever since TI was created. Right? It's the idea that like you're letting teams that aren't you're not just trying to like spoil a bunch or whatever. That was a poor expression, but like you're not just trying to like make it so that it's just the best players, right? You're trying to let new people, new teams that have shown their strength throughout the.
It says third place teams
the chance to come in and compete.
It says the runners up of Europe, China, C, and NA will go directly to TI, and the third place of China and C will go directly to TI as well, but not the third place for NA, because I think NA also includes South America. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think they're doing a different format this year. It looks like they're just going to have. We don't know what the groups look like yet. But I think if you're the bottom, I think the way it works is your seeding is like there's two groups, each with what looks like 9 teams. Yeah, 9 teams. So that's all 18-2. Hey, Moscus, shout out to you. But if you're talking about doing a shout out to Wired, I'm actually going to put his YouTube channel in this video's description when I'm done. So group stage A, like are you at the TI page? The link I sent you. If you go down to group stages. If you're top 4 in one of the 2 groups, then you go to upper bracket. If you're bottom 4, you go to lower bracket. And if you were the last in either of the groups, then you take your money and go home.
No, yeah.
Well, China has the most number of players.
Pretty significant.
Well, there's only 4 American players. Yeah. 4 Canadians.
4?
Yeah. United States players, which is 4 less than last year.
Yeah.
Bulba, Mason, MSS, and Universe. Wait. Who does Mason play for? DC, that's right, DC. Why the fuck is Mason still, like, a thing?
What is what?
Mason Dota.
DC still a thing?
Yeah.
Mason Dota. Are we about to shit talk Mason? Because I'm totally down for that.
I mean, I don't like shit talking anyone, especially someone that would, like, I don't know, that's kind of a dick. But he, I don't know, he sort of reminds me of Cruncher from StarCraft 2. Like, I really thought that he was a one-off flash in the pan, like, got to be a stand-in for EG, and I genuinely never thought that he would ever stand on the TI stage ever again in his life. I mean, I don't want to shit talk him too much. I'm good on you for making it back to TI, dude. I mean, fucking Moon Meander and Weehaw and Resolution didn't make it to TI, but somehow fucking Mason did.
This is the part where somebody in your chat links this video that would otherwise get like 300 views and then like die to Mason, and then this video blows up on Reddit with like massive downvotes.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about that. I was just that's why I didn't want to shit talk him too much, because he would totally do that. He would totally fucking do that.
Wait, hold up. In the angst of doing that though, I want to just mention I have played, I think one at least. I think definitely one, but I know at least one, but probably two. I'm sorry, really redundant there. Probably more than just one pubs with Mason being on my team. That's primarily my main experience with him. I have seen him a little bit in the professional matches where he's typically, you know, deemed as a flamer. But I could speak from personal experience here that I played a pub with him, and I hate to like use this purely anecdotal evidence, but he was so fucking toxic. It was ridiculous. Like first. Oh no,
I've heard that a lot. I mean, everyone's talked about that. Like, there's so many Reddit threads about it. Like. I mean,
yeah, but you hear it and you don't see it. If you hear it a lot and you don't see it, you don't really understand how he's toxic. So let me just like describe, like paint the scene here, right? So like we're loading in. I was lowest in my armor by far. I was like 5.5k or whatever in like a 6k average game. So whatever, I'll play support. Lock in Warlock, right? He gets invaded level 1. They smoke. They kill him like S4. And so I'm thinking like, okay, they're trying to take our rune, so I'm just gonna go take their rune, right? Like I walk over there, kind of admittedly like a dumb play, like looking back at it, like of course they're just gonna walk back and try to secure their rune. So I dive with it as well. So him and I are both dead here at the start. He goes in all chat, he's like, this Warlock is probably the most autistic human being I've ever met in an entire game. And so I muted him immediately after that. After that, it was just like constant pings. You know, I can't understand what he's saying, or I can't even hear him because, like I said, I muted him. He's like walking down lanes after like 2 or 3 more deaths, like he's done with the game. Like, I love it. It's ridiculous.
I absolutely love it.
Crazy. So, yeah.
Yeah, but
I could honestly,
he seems like, I don't know. I'm 4,700 MMR, so I thought I've never played a game with Mason because my MMR is a little bit too high for that Kappa, but.
No,
I haven't played. The last time, actually, when I was grinding MMR, he would have been in. I might have actually played a game of Dota with him at some point. I might have played and just not known it.
I know that because you said you have one account that's like unranked, but you played a lot of.
Oh well, I mean, I've played on my main account. On my main account and my Smurf on that high level Smurf. On both of those accounts, I played with a handful of pros. That Smurf, I don't remember the login credentials. On that Smurf, I played. On that Smurf, I played with a lot of pros. I think actually, that was the first time I ever played against a professional player. Was on that Smurf. And then on my main account. My main account eventually did get high enough that I was playing with I played against IX Mike like 3 games in a row. And the only time I've ever lost a game where there was a professional player in the game was when I played with ROTK on my team. He was a shit Ember Spirit.
Nice.
He was so bad. I mean, he apologized profusely, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I played against Black, beat Black. That was probably the most insane I've ever. That's probably the biggest achievement I'll ever have. Is like fucking beat Black. I had to rat him though. He was way too good farming.
Dude, we're talking a lot of shit here. Even if only in like the gamer angst of like I beat you, you know, like it still seems like shit talk. If some like random person online is you know.
Oh no, I don't
even like remotely downplaying.
No, anyone that's ever heard me talk about Black knows it's like the highlight of my Dota career is that I beat Black in a pub. And I will say that I beat him because if I didn't just straight up rat, then we would have lost. Like he was.
I was gonna say though, like yeah.
The math of him, like he jumped me at one point, and I was like, "All right, so he's gonna jump me. He's gonna burn all his CDs, and then I can either kill him, or for some reason he gets really lucky with bashes. Then I'll just dip." And he just killed me straight up in the chrono. And I was having a really, really good game, and against Lycan, so I'd played like 600 games of him. I knew exactly where my item timings were, and I was ahead of what I wanted to be at that point. When I died, I was like, "Holy fucking shit! This guy is actually Black. This guy is good. This is someone that does this for a living."
Nice. With the humbleness. That way it doesn't seem like total shit talk.
No, I'm not. I'm not shit talking any of the pros. I wouldn't shit talk pretty much any pro except for maybe Mason because he's just kind of a dick, from what I understand. And then IX Mike 88 was. I feel like he was kind of a dick when I played against him, but I also beat him like 3 games in a row, and he was trying to make offlane Juggernaut work, and it was not working. And so he was probably pretty upset. If I were doing some stupid shit like that, I'd probably be frustrated too. So, kind of touch briefly on Dream League. I'm not really surprised with the outcome, except I would have expected someone like Vega or Secret to be the ones that stayed in for longer, because I would not have expected Planet Odd to 2-0 Secret. Secret's going to be a wild card this year, because Secret is a team that I don't think they really have any stars except for maybe Mid-One and Puppy being the bigger, obviously the much bigger of the two stars. But occasionally they just come out and make magic happen, so I'm really interested to see what they do at TI. This is also interesting because Vega was a pretty high-placed team at this event, and it's Aloha Dance G, Afterlife Silent, and SEMA, and they're not going to TI. And then Planet Odd, Resolution, Weeha, Moon Meander, those are pretty big names. Misery's a big fucking name. Soxa's a pretty big name. Those are all pretty... None of those names are gigantic, but all of those names are huge. And
I know all of them, so that says
none of them are going to TI. I'm actually really sad that Weeha's not going to TI. I think Weeha is someone that I want to see win a TI, like big time. Like Weeha is someone that I've got a lot of respect for. He got second place at TI. He got second place at TI last year, and he won't be going this year. That's pretty fucked up, especially because he just got second place at, like, why wasn't he invited? Like, why wasn't he in, like, maybe they just weren't doing very well then, but I don't know. That team did really well. I think it's because they probably just got kicked in the qualifiers or just crushed in the qualifiers. Let me look at the qualifier results.
Yeah. This speaks nothing to like his TI appearance, because like, I mean, fuck, Mason got invited, so like I'm not trying to say that like it's this reason that he didn't get invited, but I will say that like Weeha's conduct performance, like as a player, especially again in pub games, so like maybe this isn't the best example, but like he's no secret, or he's no stranger to like rage quitting games or abandoning.
Yeah, so is Arteezy though.
Like everybody was. Yeah, I was gonna say, so like this.
I've watched a lot of pubs with him. Like when I first I actually knew about Weeha. I was following him pretty closely in 2014 because in all of the replays that Microsoft sent me, Weeha was in those games with him. Microsoft and Weeha probably played 50 games together at least.
He's probably spamming Meepo then, like.
He was spamming the fuck out of Meepo.
Death timer reduction.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, dude, it's been since 2015 since he was caught cheating during a match.
Wait. Are we talking the All-Stars match where he turned on refresh? Cause
yeah, it wasn't. I don't even know if that was an All-Stars map. It was no. I know what you mean. It's like cheats were enabled and no one knew it but him, and he cheated using that. And he did it in a way that was really, really blatantly obvious. So he wanted to, like, he wasn't trying to get away with it. He was just having fun in a tournament. The tournament was not very. The tournament was not pleased with him making a joke of their event.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So there's certainly something to be said for that, and I can see where some people would be like, oh man, Weeha's like a terrible human being for that. I will say though that like from what I heard, the stakes were very, very low. The tournament overall wasn't really that important, and he was cheating in a game that wasn't that important. So
it's also the manner of cheating. It's also it's the manner of which the cheating happened. Like
that's what I mean.
If it's a fucking if you're cheating by typing in cheat codes because some idiot like there was no one there to check and make sure that the lobby didn't have cheats enabled, then.
He was the one that hosted it, so
yeah. So still, someone should have known.
Yeah, I mean, you can check that sort of thing still if you look into the options, but I just mean like I don't even know why he was allowed to host the lobby and to begin with. I thought it was like standard protocol that like the people that are running the organization have their own Dota accounts that are the ones that open the lobby and invite the players from there.
Dude, did I ever tell you my Moon Meander story?
No.
Okay, so a few years ago, on the front page of Reddit, there was Moon Meander raging out on this Peruvian player. And after the game, he like blasted Peru's national anthem and walked around with a Peruvian flag in his hand, like waving it around. This was the #1 post on Dota Reddit, and
Jesus.
I watched it, and I don't just know. Like I personally gave coaching to the person he was like pissed at. Like I taught, like he sent me
Spanish,
like no, I don't. No, he's bilingual. But yeah, I do speak Spanish though. I did back then. I took Spanish as an academic. I took Spanish from 5th grade through my first 2 years of college. So
I gave you an inch and you're running like a mile with it. I like it.
But yeah,
no, go on though.
I mean,
So,
no,
like,
I just saw that and was like, oh god, no.
Yeah.
I was like crying when I saw that. I'm sure he's probably still on my friends list. There's so many people on my friends list that have been playing Dota as their primary game since like fucking 2012 when I started. My first game was like June 29th. It was like June 29th or June 30th. June 30th of 2012 of Dota 2.
It's addictive, man. I don't think you can actually escape Dota, honestly. That's a
I hope
tale for a
not.
different time. I've
escaped it a bit because I've got a VR setup, but now I can look at Dota in VR.
I was gonna say you can't escape it because I was gonna say I know that you were, because you told me about this, looking at Dota in VR, and you said it was amazing. So you can't escape. I would not be surprised if I'm like 40 years old and I'm still like checking in on, like, if I'm actually watching pro Dota then, because I have like arthritis and I can't actually play the game anymore or some shit like that.
I actually
vegan diet, so I'm malnourished.
You have a vegan diet?
I'm vegan. I've been vegan for a year and a half.
I'm sorry about that, dude.
That's like, yeah. Fuck you,
dude. My like actual, like, not animal products, but straight up meat and eggs are probably 70% of my daily calories. Like my diet is just like it's just like exclusively meat.
I feel like I gave you an inch again, and we were in a mile.
We're running.
This Dota podcast is turning into like nutrition advice.
Nutrition.
Yeah.
Oh
no.
But speaking of toxicity, so one of the things I wanted to do before this show, and if you're watching the show and you think it's really unorganized and incoherent, then that's good. That's what we're going for. But so one of the things I did to try to get talking points for the week was look at the past week top threads on Dota 2, which is actually verbatim what I do for a couple of my shows. I do this with just like a bunch of different tabs, but Dota is way less coherent in terms of subreddit popularity than most of the things I'm interested in, so it's a little bit harder to follow. But we do, I guess the last thing we could talk about, because this is really a TI episode, and the next episode is going to be a TI episode, and the episode after that will probably be a TI episode. In fact, we'll probably do one of these episodes while watching TI. I think a week from today we can actually do the show while we watch TI.
While we watch TI.
That'd be cool. But so, a couple of things. First of all, Day 9's toxicity video. That was so incredibly awesome. That's so incredibly awesome.
Well, actually, so Day 9 in general, I actually really want to talk about this with you. So specifically, because you and I have such incredibly, I think there's like less and less people that care about Day 9 StarCraft days or even know about a StarCraft days, but you and I have a very unique position on this, because you probably watched Day 9's dailies like when they were first coming out, right?
Yep.
You were like probably, I remember you told me in PMs we were talking about like this maybe a week ago at this point, like how you were, and I myself, right? I'm not just trying to like single you out. I'm saying that we both were like,
oh no, it was my religion. I remember racing home from my so I remember beelining home from my like community college class late at night after I've already worked all day, trying to get home as fast as I can, and then sprinting up to my room. And I wasn't like 15 at this point. I was like 22, 21, like sprinting up to my room to turn on Twitch to watch Fun Day Monday. Like,
yeah,
those are the good old days.
That's like, yeah, and I would watch his VODs all the time on his website, because he didn't post the VODs on YouTube, or I didn't find his YouTube.
Yeah, he had that weird thing. What was
it? It had like ads every 2 seconds or whatever.
What was
I can't remember. I think it was just Day 9 TV. I'm not sure. It was weird though. There was ads like left and right, but I didn't even care, because like I would watch it. I also didn't know what ad block was back then. It was a stupid little shit. I'm still pretty stupid. But
I didn't use it as a principle for a long time. Then I used it and was like, yeah, nah.
Oh shit, yeah. Fuck, I forgot that there's an ethical standpoint on this as well. Shit. Okay, yeah, that's right. I purposely didn't have ad block because I was supporting my favorite content. I just remember, I'd watch all of his VODs. Like, he had like 300 episodes, and I didn't get up to date, but like I watched a good at least 50 to 100 of them. Not straight through, but like a lot of the Fun Day Mondays and Newbie Tuesdays. That was back when I was like Gold League and like rankings actually mattered, and everybody wasn't just like default masters, because the player base is so small, and the people that are playing are like people that are still dedicated to the game, so they're all really good at it. Yeah, it was
Blip.tv.
So
it was Blip.tv.
Yeah, that's what it was. You're right.
I think this shit's dead now. I'm trying to go to Blip.tv and watch one of his old dailies. Blip.tv was a better player than YouTube, in my opinion, though. It was
strictly worse than Twitch, though.
Yeah, but it was like for VODs. It gave me a much higher quality feed, and it seemed like it had less latency than YouTube.
Really? There was something that killed it, and I thought it was like the fact that it was a strictly worse platform than the one that it was trying to compete with, which just brings me to Twitch. But I didn't. I thought it was a streaming website because that's all his VODs have ever been, were streams, like streams of like he just rips his stream and then turns it into a video demonstration or a video on demand.
Yeah, no, it's dead.
Yeah, but okay. So what did I want to talk about for day 9 was and I know that you somewhat touched up on this in your more recent video where you were like congratulating day 9 and whatnot, but then you were like talking about how some of the talents that like especially Coddle Guy, I think you and I are probably both in agreement on this. I really do think Coddle Guy deserved.
I was going to get into that next. Yeah, that's
yes. Okay.
100%.
So before we talk about those guys, just because I mean we could sit here and circle jerk all day about how Coddle Guy should have got invited. I want to hear your opinions, like getting down to the meat and dirty of it, right? Don't just like sit here and fanboy over day 9. Like, did he really deserve to get invited into TI in your opinion? If yes, that's fine. Just I don't, try to let go of the nostalgia for a second and be critical.
I think this is a loaded question because I don't think it's about it's a dual-sided question. It's does he deserve it, and is it a good move on Valve's part because of the level of quality he can add compared to someone else? I think he is an incredibly good choice for his job. Did he deserve it as much as Red Eye? Because we're not talking about, like, getting rid of him is not going to bring Dakota in. It's a matter of him versus Red Eye. Yeah. I think if ideally they should have used both. I know Valve could afford both, but they might have been worried about chemistry, and Day 9's been experimenting with hosting. I can understand the idea with going with Day 9 over Red Eye because Red Eye doesn't play as much Dota as Day 9 has been, and Day 9's been honestly, it seems like Day 9's been putting in a lot of effort to learn the game better than he ever has. Day 9, when you add Day 9 to an event for a strategy game, a well-loved strategy game with well-liked developers, you're gonna pull in a shitload of StarCraft heads. You're gonna pull in four or five digit numbers of old school StarCraft fans, and the Dota heads that might be slinking away from the game that came from the StarCraft scene are going to jump right back on board when they see that Day 9 is here.
Wow, is he? For instance,
is he still doing Fun Day Monday? He was in 2014. I guess never mind. It's dead.
He's given up like almost entirely. Although he did say that he's gonna hop back on StarCraft Remastered when it
comes out. I'm sure that's gonna be a big chunk of his content.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for that. So, but that being said, so what you said, I wanted to kind of like unpackage that a little bit. So, firstly, I understand fully that was a loaded question. I also understand that like just getting Day 9 off the board doesn't bring in Coddle Guy. I was just kind of using that as like somewhat of a the talents that got invited as they stand, right? Were they all deserved? And I guess like specifically Day 9 was the person that I chose to harken on.
Day 9 is I think Day 9 deserves it more than who the fuck is that a pro player that... Yeah. I'm gonna get some hate for this. I have no fucking idea who CCNC is. I had no idea who he was until I saw...
Everybody already hates him. Yeah.
I had no idea who he is, and... Like, that's cool that you want to bring... that's cool that you want to bring more pros to the casting area, but Nahaz and Dakota come first. Nahaz and Capitalist are way better. They've done way more to earn a seat at this event than anyone else. I don't know why the fuck they don't have Nahaz, because if you want stats done right, you get Nahaz or you get the people that work under him. Like,
well, so Cap is invited, just for the record, or unless that was like a misspeak. Like,
sorry, I got Cap mixed, Cap and Coddle.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's what I meant. Coddle Guy.
You're good.
Coddle Guy.
You're good. Yeah. Well, okay. So then Nahaz, though, speaking to Nahaz's point, right? I personally, I don't know him that well. I don't even subscribe to his, or not know him. Like I make this always to be like a personal thing. I don't know of his content that well, other than the fact that he does the like really stats based stuff. The reasoning that I don't really know of his content that well is because every time I've looked at it, it's never from a standpoint that I personally prefer. Right? He never approaches the game in a way that I personally appreciate it. That being said, I understand there's a huge portion of people out there that care a lot about statistics. But whenever I see like his videos where he's breaking down like like Earn has a 60% win rate, so guys, we gotta buy Earn. It's gonna win you the game. Like I don't personally like that approach. He pretty much, in a lot of ways, like symbolizes everything that, in my opinion, is wrong with Dota buff, where it seems like it's just a bunch of 3 to low 4K players that seem to act or boast as though they know something grandiose about the game, when in actuality they're just looking at statistics, which is information that anybody could divulge, and is oftentimes misleading. It doesn't really tell the full story of how.
Well, no, it's like he's not just using descriptive statistics. He's also using a lot of info. He's using statistical analysis much more advanced than that. I had to take a PhD level stats class to get my master's degree this past spring, and so no, when I look at the game, I don't look at it in terms of stats, and I would say I agree with you when I see a lot of the statements he makes in a lot of the. I disagree, because the thing about stats is stats don't lie, but you can come to the wrong conclusion because of them, and he does that sometimes because he trusts the stats much more closely than people that have played the game for all these years do. But that's not necessarily a problem, and those stats popping up on screen are still useful. And the quality of those little tidbits of information that pop up during mid-game are going to be of higher quality if you have him or the standard deviants, which is a group of people that do stats in Dota that work that are led by him. If you have the standard deviants or you have him or some group of people associated with that group working at your event, you're going to have those awesome, really interesting bits of information that literally no one else would have dug up. And and it's not even just that. It's like you do have to compound that with the amount of you do have to consider the amount of work that someone has done for the community and for the scene, and how involved they are with it, regardless of what they do with the rest of their life. And he has done a lot more in production, in the competitive scene side of the game, than I think this than I guess I'm using CCNC might be a bad example, it might be a good example. I don't want to pick on someone, but I think there's certainly people on that list that could get the fuck off that list and give him a spot. And Dakota, Coddle Guy, I think the conversation is even shorter there, because I know you got to go pretty soon. But I think the conversation with Coddle Guy is an even shorter one, because he's an excellent caster, and he's someone that has been on his grind like hell to go to TI. And didn't get the invite. I think there might be some sort of personal beef with him, between him and someone that makes this call.
I think so too.
Because there's no logical way that some of these people go and he doesn't. And people have had to, in like 2015, like we had to fight, like we as in like the Dota 2 subreddit had to fight and raise hell to get him a ticket to TI.
Which did end up happening though. To be
it
fair,
did. It did. And the problem is that no one's raising hell this time.
So I think Valve compromised there. Well, no, trust me, there are. I don't know if you checked on the subreddit recently, but like, there's a lot of people that are very upset that Coddle Guy didn't make it. There's several top rated posts.
It's not on there today, though.
It is a point of contention for sure. Oh, well, was it like that back then in TI5? Was it like every single day? Every single, like, since the
no, I think
was it, like, every...
no, but I think after this period of time had passed, he'd already been invited.
Okay. Whereas this time it's not, yeah. Yeah, so about that though, I definitely don't think it's going to happen. I almost feel like the conversation, even though I was the one that brought it up, is kind of a moot point, because like, no matter how much we talk about it, it's not going to happen this time. I think, anyways. I guess I could be wrong, because I was wrong back in TF, or I guess...
Oh, what? He was streaming Mario RPG and Legend of the Seven Stars. He was streaming Super Mario RPG yesterday, that's cool. Sorry. Totally spacing out, but go on.
I was just gonna say, I do think that like Coddle Guy, I don't know, I feel like, again, as much as we talk about it like it's not going to happen, I was just wondering what your position specifically on like day 9 was, and then as kind of a somewhat of a whole, like the talents that overall were selected this year, just because even as somebody who probably isn't going to watch too much TI outside of like knowing who the victors were in the high profile games,
I'll be
heroes that I play.
I'll be watching the fuck out of it. I'll have two monitors up with a stream. I'll have a monitor up that I'm commentating on, a monitor up with my chat, and then a third monitor up with a game I'm not even fucking watching. Like, that's how my group stages are going.
You'll watch enough
for both of us.
TI for both of us, yeah, for certain. And like I said, like I'll definitely.
I don't know. What do you think about Machine?
okay, this you want to know what I think about Machine? Is it the same Machine from StarCraft? That's all I'm thinking about.
No. If it were,
not.
I would have such a nerd boner for this lineup. Machine.
That's what
he's hosting with Day 9. So Machine from old EG hosting with Day 9 for a StarCraft event. I'd be like, this is the best thing
for a Dota event. Yeah,
this is the best. This is the. I'm already thinking this is going to be one of my favorite events of all time. Also, I think we're going to get a winner from Europe or CIS this time because we've alternated back and forth East-West every year.
Being 100% dead serious about the Day 9 thing, like being as candidly possible as I can. For somebody who definitely does appreciate a lot of Day 9's content, don't like everything that he's done. I don't think he's like a god amongst men, but I do think that he's hit a lot of high chords over a very long period of time, which is a very hard thing to do, especially when they're in the public limelight a lot. So I do think that he's accomplished a lot, and for somebody who's accomplished a lot, I think he's a little bit outmatched for something like this. I think that where it stands in his MMR specifically, which probably isn't that relevant of a discussion.
Not for a
host.
host.
Mentioned before, like there's a lot. Yes, definitely not for a host. But for somebody who's going to be heading the event and trying to like somewhat demonstrate a vast amount of knowledge. I mean, like, what does the host do, right? Like, give me like a detailed.
Who is you know who the host usually is? It's Red Eye. You think Red Eye's like 4K?
Yeah.
Fuck no. Red Eye's played like a couple hundred matches of Dota, and then he's a professional host, so he studies the living fuck out of every player on every team. That's his job.
Yeah. So he's gonna. Day 9's gonna be. I don't know. Like Day 9, it is expected, in my opinion, that Day 9 is someone who we would at least be able to look at for some vast amount of knowledge about the players. I just don't know if he's gonna be able to provide that. That's really what it boils down to.
I'm sure he's prepping for that. Day 9's very professional. I would trade Lyrical.
He definitely is. Yeah.
I would trade Lyrical for a Coddle guy.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know particularly like how well things are going to pan out because I'm not like some sort of psychic or whatever. But I'm a little hesitant to see somebody like him in a position like that based off the pure raw like pragmatic like.
Oh, he's done this sort of shit. He's done this sort of shit for a bunch of different games now. He's done he does BlizzCon every year.
No, yeah. Well, BlizzCon. We're talking like
all of the esports
2, or are we talking all of the esports and
all of the esports?
Okay.
I know he does Hearthstone and StarCraft 2, and he's the general host though. I'm sure he's going to be as good as he'll be as good as Red Eye. He might be better actually. I'm just like
it's certainly possible.
I don't have a problem with him getting like I guess it's kind of fucked up because I think that the best lineup would be Day 9 and Red Eye together. Because I think that Machine and Day 9 are both a little bit silly, and Red Eye does a very good job being the serious guy. But I think people really wanted to give Machine the opportunity because when they brought Machine in, when I first saw Machine, I'm like, this guy's gonna get eaten alive. But he had this like sort of endearing quality that made the community stick with him and like him, and so they wanted to give him another shot. And then Day 9 stepped up, and Red Eye might have also been not as hyped to do it. I don't know. Red Eye. You know, I feel like it's one of those attitudes where it's like, we can always get Red Eye back next year. But I think the big thing there is like Admiral Bulldog, Ake, CC&C, Fogged. Fogged, I guess, doesn't really count. But those three, like...
he is a really good player. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of him as an analyst. I'm thinking he doesn't... I'm talking about pro players. I don't consider Fogged a pro player. I consider him an analyst now.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I think he's better at being an analyst than a pro player. I mean, I've played with Fogg before.
He would probably say the same thing.
But yeah,
he would probably say the same thing.
Yeah. But CC&C is a pro, and Ake is a pro, and Admiral Bulldog is making the transition, but I think most people still think of Admiral Bulldog as a fucking player. Like, Admiral Bulldog... When you think of Admiral Bulldog, you think of a guy that won TI. You don't think... When you win TI, it's pretty hard for you to make the transition for everyone to see you as not being a pro player. So...
I mean... him and PPD are doing it pretty well.
PPD's another one, but I think of PPD as someone that's... He's always been more of an analytical player versus Admiral Bulldog is arguably the guy that won TI. Like, he's one of the people...
He had the captain position, yeah, where he was like, you know, a lot of people...
PPD has never been the best player, but he's always been his... perspective on the game is what has caused his team to win, not his reflexes or his farming abilities.
Yeah. Yes, I would completely agree. You hit the nail on the head again.
Either way, we have Admiral Bulldog, Ake, CC&C, I'll skip Fogged, skip PPD, but you have those three players. You have two pros, both of them are Swedish, both of them from the same team that won TI, and you have CC&C, who I have no idea who the fuck this guy is. And instead of getting a coddle guy on the analyst desk, or getting rid of a lyric, I would trade lyrical. I think coddle guy deserves it more than lyrical, and that's I don't have a problem with lyrical. I think lyrical's fine here, but I think coddle guy, just based on workload, deserves it more than that if you're going to put him in commentator. And as an analyst, maybe he won't do as good of a job at CCNC, but I think he deserves to be on that panel more. And I think that he probably would do a better job on that panel because he's very good at communicating with the audience. I don't know who CCNC is. I know he's a pro player, but pro players can be often good at interacting with the audience and can be good analysts, but well, you know for a fact, even if your analysis is slightly worse because coddle guy might not be as good as CCNC, he has enough experience in public speaking and experience on these analyst panels that he's going to give you a top tier experience regardless. And again, there's that conscientiousness, that work factor, where I think he deserves it, and I really believe that there was someone at Valve that just didn't, that had issue with him. Do you think we're gonna see Yames this year?
Yames?
James Harding? Too fucking good?
No.
I think we might.
He's gone.
I think no, he's not gonna get. He's not getting invited by them, but they're not gonna keep him from entering. I think he'll be there.
Oh.
I think he'll go there and do his own shit. No, he came. He's been away from Dota for so long because Valve said they wouldn't pay him for events, and then he came to a Dream League and showed up with just like a bottle of whiskey, he'll show up at their studio with a bottle of whiskey and was like, "What up?" And they're like, "Okay." So I wouldn't be surprised if he said that he was gonna come.
How hard did Valve police?
Well, no, they're not gonna ban
Valve
him.
Police Dream League. Well, I mean, they did say that they didn't want to work with it. When Gabe,
no, he's not gonna. He's not gonna be worked with, but they're not gonna ban him from buying a ticket and going. See, what he said before was that he was going to buy a ticket and go, and because of his connections, pros would let him hang out with them, and he was just going to film them and make his own, like, do his own entirely unique self-coverage of TI. And he said he was going to do that like 2 years ago, and now that he's fired, I think he might actually do it.
So there's limits on that, right? I don't know too much about the specifics of this. I'm not like a legal major or whatever, but there's some legality issues of like filming on other people's property, especially if he's trying to capture a lot of footage.
No, it would fall under the same categories like interviews. Use. Like you're not going to tell Hoppid not to do it, so they won't stop him.
Well, because it's in good faith. So if Valve sees a bunch of content creation coming out of TI, which they definitely will, of people such as, for instance, Sir Action Slacks going and making a bunch of videos and meme shit and uploading it on YouTube, that's good coverage for Valve. So why would they ever try to DMCA that kind of shit? But when it comes to like somebody who they don't like, who could be trying to spin things in a bad light, like if somebody goes to TI, they're a well-known member in the community. They're getting like 10s, 20s, 30,000 views per video, and all it is Too Good getting on there saying, "Yeah, fucking Valve sucks dick." He
wouldn't do that though.
Fired me last year. I don't think he would, but I'm just saying if it's something to that degree where it's a bunch of underhanded, slight-fisted, whatever the fuck comments about Valve, whilst also asking, you're like, "Oh, how do you think you played that game, by the way?" But also Valve sucks dick. Like,
he wouldn't do that because he's trying. He still wants to fix that relationship. He's trying
to get revitalized in the community.
I think
that's certainly possible.
I think he's
Again, this brings me back to my.
It wouldn't matter though because
Valve
would have never changed the rules.
When Gabe fucking Newell goes on Reddit and posts his own personally signed message, I mean, you're done, dude. Like, you can't come back.
And the community probably hated. That's probably the most the Dota community's ever lashed back at Gabe fucking Newell.
No. There's a fair amount of people on there that said exactly what I was literally reciting a Reddit comment. I saw some top-rated comments on, and maybe there was. So what you're maybe trying to say is like if 50% of the people like him and 50% of the people hate him, that's a lot of people that hate him in a comment where usually people like him a lot. So that's fair. If Gabe's getting a lot more hatred, or if he's even getting 50%.
James is an ass, and we won't be working with him again.
Yeah, well, that became a meme, but it became like an immortalized meme in my opinion, just because of like how resounding it was and like how serious he was about that issue. But you are right, like that was the first time I've ever seen Gabe like actually take like a negative stance. He's usually a pretty lighthearted guy.
Well, it was a matter of it's a matter of he I think Gabe understands that Too Good didn't do anything malicious. He basically was just he was making jokes that were
just kind of
they would have been adult but appropriate on an English stage, but when you're on a Chinese stage in China, you can't say that sort of shit. He was saying things.
It wasn't even just the jokes. Like, who approved the Venn diagram bullshit? Like where they get out the fucking chalkboard and they start drawing like pros and cons and they start like, I was just so stupid to see that on the main. I even tuned in for a bit and I was like, this is TI6? Like what the fuck, dude? They're not even.
That wasn't TI6.
They're trying to take
was
some
a major.
like. Was it?
Yeah.
Oh
that,
fuck.
That wasn't a TI, dude.
Shit, I just fucked up.
That was
all of my.
That was the first or second major, dude. And it was also that was the Shanghai major. That was the lowest production quality in the history of Valve events.
Right.
That was the worst Valve event ever.
Okay, that was why I thought it was a TI, just because of how big it was, being the fact that it was a major. But now I lose a lot of credibility just because I suddenly fucked up that it was like a Shanghai or that it was a major as opposed to a TI. But nonetheless, like I still feel like my points still stand that was like a very important event.
Oh,
and we've got
no, the reason he was doing it is because he didn't have any other materials or tools there. Like he was just doing it because it's all he had. Like the production quality of that event was the lowest of any. Like Valve completely cut all ties with the people that they had organizing that event. Like midway through the event, they fired everyone halfway through the event. They had guys that didn't.
Was dumb, though.
They had guys that were there that didn't leave the event and were wearing the same clothes, like sitting in the same chairs on the last day, on day 3 of the major, as when they walked in on the first day. They threw it together so shoddily, everything was half-assed. The Shanghai major was the biggest shit show in, I think, Dota 2 history.
But it would be. I think it would be foolish to not at least acknowledge that some of it was because of that. Like,
a brief.
I think the skit itself was a joke at their low production qualities, because literally, like, why would you need to show the pros? Like that was like them kind of like every time they brought it out, that was kind of like James's way of poking fun at Valve, being like, we have low production, so I'm gonna do this, ha ha ha. But then on top of that, he was trying to boil the game down to like. The game down to as simple of a game theory as like simple metrics. Like CDEC has good unity and they're fast, but they're also stubborn and one-dimensional. And Secret has a strong hero pool and they've got Puppy on them, but they also have Puppy on them. And it's like, dude, this is so stupid. What the fuck are we doing? We're looking at some stupid like attempt at breaking the game down to metrics that doesn't make any sense.
You should have been watching. You should have watched. It was a joke about the entire major. That's not what got him fired. What got him fired was that he made a joke about the fact that he had to like jack off to like his own imagination because he couldn't watch porn because of the Great Firewall of China. That's why he got fired. He didn't get fired for any of that shit. He got fired because he made that joke, which is a joke, and it was subtle enough that if you made that on an English stage, you'd be okay. But he made it on a Chinese stage in China, which is a big insult to the government, and you're not supposed to piss off the government of China when you're a foreigner doing a show there. So that's why That's why he got fired. Like, make no mistake, it had nothing to do with the chalkboard and the Venn diagram. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. Like, that was something that also wouldn't have happened if Valve had done the event with their own staff, but they couldn't because they were in China, so they hired someone that turned out to be fucking sketch as hell. The 2 videos I sent you were just highlight videos from those majors. If you watched those majors, you couldn't watch like half of them because the lag was so heavy and the sound issues were so real and the video issues were so real. The Shanghai major was probably the biggest scandal in terms of production quality and things on Valve's end that has ever happened in Dota 2. It was so horrible. It was not. It was.
At least we had.
It was so bad that it became good because of all the content that came out about how bad it was. Like, that's how bad it was.
I feel bad for anybody who paid for season there. At least we had Coddle Guy there, right?
Yeah, and they had like him doing videos like, "Please help me." Yeah, no, there's a picture of Moon Meander wearing a 3M mask so he wouldn't get sick in the venue. Yeah, and like the fucking booths weren't soundproofed. Everything was late as fuck. There was this like really weird like echoing noise in the background for most of the stream. The stream lagged and you had to watch it like 480 quality. And it was for like $1 million. Or like the winning team took home like $1 million total. So who got fired? It wasn't it was the people that did the people that came before Perfect World, I think, were the people that were fired. I'm trying to see who. It was the Mercedes-Benz Arena. Valve's Perfect World did it, so it looks like that might have been maybe that was Perfect World's last event. I don't know. The Manila Major 2016, PGL did that. TI 16, I don't know, but yeah. So let me see how many. I don't know, but I know I know PGL's done a lot of them lately, and Perfect World did the original Shanghai Major. I'm looking at like the main event, and I'm trying to see like there's no like about section on Wikipedia that's like this shit was all fucked. It was so fucked up. It was the worst event. But I did love that event though because of how bad it was, because you got so much content. Yeah. All right, do you have to go?
Yeah, I should be getting going here.
All right.
But this was an enjoyable talk, and I do apologize if it got heated because I actually really enjoyed this conversation.
Oh, that was awesome. Let's try to start an hour earlier next week. Because I feel like we could just do this for 2 hours, and sometimes my internet starts to fuck up after I've uploaded a very large amount of bandwidth, but that usually doesn't start till 4 or 5 hours of consistent streaming. So.
Okay. Yeah, so around 1 p.m. My time.
Yeah, 1 Central, 2 Eastern.
Nice. Yeah, I'm down for that.
Cool. Someone just asked in the chat, how's tomorrow's jungling guide? I have no fucking clue who I'm going to do a jungling guide for tomorrow, and it's not going to be Lycan. If you get it... No, I need another jungle guide uploaded before Lycan, because I don't get any views on videos where I just talk for half an hour, so I need to actually record a guide and edit the fuck out of it and get paid. So, love you. Alright, man, well, I will put your YouTube channel in this video description. I'm not gonna edit this. It's just gonna be listed as a stream VOD on my channel, but it will be on the front page of my channel. So yeah,
I'll let everybody know I know about this. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you very much. It was fun talking to you. I'll check you next week.
Have a good day at work.
You as well, my friend. Peace out.
Peace. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. This was my first episode of Pub Trash. I was going to call it the Pubcast, but yeah. Fastest Radiance on LD Jungle. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cut the show, and I will keep talking to you in the chat, just so that if you are following along and watching the VOD, you don't have to watch me talk to people in the chat.